Hello and welcome back to the Wrestling Rant. If you couldn't tell by the sound of me banging my fucking head against my desk, Raw sucked again. I gotta tell you folks, I know I said for the SmackDown vid that I was going to wait until after Mania to see if I was going to stop watching. I don't know if I'm going to make it that long. If tonight was any indication, oh man, it's going to be hard to wait through WrestleMania for this shit. Anyways, February 10th, 2014, from the City of Angels, Los Angeles, California. Place that I'd much rather be. Just a side note, I fucking hate winter. I live in Ohio and we got a shitload of snow dumped on us and it sucks. Anyways, Raw from LA. The show opens this, music hits, and of course it's Betty White. She comes out accompanied by the Big Show. And Betty says that, I don't even remember. She says something, and then Big Show says something, and I think basically what Big Show said is, what are you gonna do tonight, Betty? And she says, I'm gonna kick some ass. And I'm thinking, yeah, Betty White, who is literally about half Big Show's height, she's gonna kick somebody's ass. Yes, this 80-year-old woman. God. But anyways, they essentially get interrupted by the King of Kings song. And of course, out come Triple H and Stephanie. And they come out and they kind of brush off Betty White and Big Show, and those two leave. Stephanie and Triple H go down to the ring, because Betty White and Big Show were just on the stage. Triple H and Steph get in the ring, and immediately there's another CM Punk chant. The two of those bitches talk, and they get interrupted by Randy. His music hits, and he comes out. Randy says that he wants to apologize to Triple H and Stephanie, not to the WWE Universe, for putting on boring goddamn matches and being just a complete bore. He doesn't want to apologize to us for being the weakest fucking champion we've had in so goddamn long. No. He wants to apologize to Triple H and Stephanie for always being whiny and being childish. And I'm like, okay, well, you could apologize to us for that too. Whatever. There's a chant for Daniel Bryan, of course, and shortly after that, Bryan comes out. And he wants a match with Kane. And Triple H says, I'm not going to give you that, because in the state of mind you're in right now, it wouldn't be best for business. So instead, we're going to give you a well-deserved night off. So, Bryan doesn't get a match tonight. And that means we're left with pretty much no good matches at all. And of course, Bryan is like, no, no, and the crowd chanting, and the crowd was loud as fuck for this. They're all chanting along, no, no. But that's basically where that segment ends. They hype up Mark Henry's return. And they also hype up the main event of the evening, which is Orton versus Cena, again, for the millionth goddamn time. Even though this match got booed out of the fucking arena at the Royal Rumble, no, we're gonna do it again. Anyways, they hype that shit up, and then they say that also, coming up next, we have a 6-man tag match. Rey Mysterio, Cody Rhodes and Goldust versus the Wyatts. That's going to be up next, and they cut to a commercial. After the commercial, Rey's music hits, and he comes out to no reaction. Again. And then the Goldust Rhodes Megamix hits, and the two of them come out. And then the Wyatts come out, and while they're coming out, because their entrance is boring as hell, we get a recap from SmackDown. Bray had a match versus Goldust. It basically just showed the finish of the match. Who gives a fuck? We get the match. It was boring. There was a commercial break in the middle of it, and the finish of the match came when Rey had Harper on the ropes, throated, ready for the 619. Bray was on the apron. He tags Harper, blind tag basically. As Rey goes running to bounce off the ropes to go for the 619, Bray jumps into the ring, catches Rey as he's coming back, cinches him up for the Sister Abigail, and plants him with it, all in one fluid move. So, I'll admit it looked good. Whoop-de-doo, it doesn't mean shit for Bray. He's still a boring piece of shit. He hit one good move. And that was the only time it ever really looked all that good. And by the way, Fandango was doing that move before Bray. And Mike Knox was doing it before both of them. So, still, whatever. Anyways, like I said, Bray hits the Sister Abigail on Rey and gets the win. The crowd's dead, by the way. They don't give a fuck. Bray cuts a promo on the Shield, and then they do the stupid cutaway gag to a commercial break again. When we come back from the commercial, we get a recap of Roman Reigns' record-setting Royal Rumble elimination streak. Whatever. That serves as a segue to cutting backstage where Renee Young is with the Shield. And she talks to them. She specifically mentions Ambrose, who has not defended his U.S. title in quite a long time. She actually mentions this. And I'm like, holy shit, they're actually bringing it up. And Dean's like, there's paperwork to go through. You think there's actual contenders for this title? Sure there are. They're just not on TV because fuckheads in the company don't know how to use them. By the way, all throughout the night, right in the front row at ringside, there was a guy in the crowd that had a sign, Kurt Hawkins. It wasn't Kurt Hawkins, but the sign says Kurt Hawkins. There was some little tiny worded message on the side, but it was like something something Kurt Hawkins. Like, where is Kurt Hawkins or something like that, I don't know. Wouldn't that have been a nice match? Kurt Hawkins comes in to challenge for the U.S. title. Would have been a good match. No. But anyways, Dean's talking, and he says, you know what, I'll tell you what. I'm going to go out there later, and I'm going to throw down an open challenge for the U.S. title. Anybody who wants some. Whatever. Cutting to another segment, we see the Total Divas with Betty White backstage, and then up comes Vicky Guerrero. And I wanted to go find a razor blade to slit my wrists with, or maybe just cut off my ears. And then up come the middle-aged outlaws. And they talk to Betty, "Would you like a cup of tea?" And she's like, "Ooh, I would like a cup of tea." So they take her away, and the divas are left scratching their heads like, since when do the middle-aged outlaws like tea? Obviously, this is leading to something, and we'll get to that. Okay, yeah. After that, they show an old recap from the Breaking Point pay-per-view from 2009, which most of its fans are too young to remember, because they're fucking... Ugh. But right. Breaking Point 2009, Orton vs. Cena, the I Quit match. And this is just going over their rivalry over the last fucking decade. They're really leading up to this main event match with Orton and Cena tonight, and ugh. Whatever. After that recap, they hype up, we're going to have a tag team match, Sheamus and Christian versus the Real Americans. That's going to be coming up later. Finally, cutting back to the arena, Santino's stupid fucking music hits, and he comes out with Emma, and they come out to no reaction, because people don't give a shit about these two klutzes. They're both comedy relief. After the entrance, they cut to a commercial. When they come back, we get another recap, this time from last week, Emma's debut, the stupid goddamn dance-off between her and Summer Rae. And I noticed that they had to pipe in cheers during Emma's dance to make it seem like people gave a fuck, which they didn't. And after the recap, Fandango and Summer Rae are in the ring finishing their entrance, the Burning Man pyro thing up top and whatever. We get a match, Santino versus Fandango. The match was not very long, didn't last long enough for me to really give a fuck. But basically, during the match, The Miz comes out again. In his suit, he goes right over to the announce table again, grabs a headset, and he says, "Really? These two guys are on there like Twinkle Toes and..." What was it he called Santino? I don't remember. But he's like, "Why are these dudes on the show and I'm not?" And I think I mentioned this before, the WWE is leading towards a team-up between Miz and Dolph Ziggler. And they're going to be a disgruntled tag team. They're pissed that they're not getting used very well. Anyways, back to the match. Fandango is able to get Santino down, and he goes up to the top rope, and he hits the leg drop, and Fandango wins. Yay, but like, nobody really cares about the match, because everybody's paying attention to The Miz. At this point, the commentators, I think it was Michael Cole, says, "We'd like to cut over now to the newest member of our broadcast team, Byron Saxton." And some of you might know, Byron Saxton's been on NXT for a while. Hell, back when it was the competition version of the show, he competed in one of the seasons. I can't remember which one. I think it was either second or third. No, it wasn't the third. That was the Divas one. It was either the second or maybe the fourth. But yeah, Byron Saxton was a competitor. He's a wrestler. But I don't know if maybe he had an injury that basically ended his in-ring career. He's been doing commentary on NXT for a while. He's been doing interviews and stuff. Now he's doing an interview on Raw. He's backstage in the locker room with Sheamus, who cuts a promo. Basically going over, yeah, you got your tag match with Christian here later tonight, yada yada, whatever. Cutting to a commercial break. Coming back from the break, and Christian is already in the ring. And we get a picture-in-picture promo from earlier today of Christian talking about the Elimination Chamber, maybe being the face of the company, whatever the fuck. Sheamus's music hits and he comes out. And then the Real Americans' music hits and they come out with Zeb Coulter, who has to cut another promo. Basically talking about Christian and Sheamus sneaking across the border. And then Coulter lets Cesaro talk. And Cesaro basically says he's going to be the first Real American to win the Elimination Chamber. And as he's saying this, Swagger's looking at him like, you motherfucker. Anyways, the match turned out to be decent. There was a commercial break. And then I noticed that Swagger was doing the gator roll. You know, like Luke Harper does. Whatever. Cesaro was able to do the swing on Christian. And then Sheamus came in and did his rope clubbing thing. There was a big clusterfuck. Sheamus ends up hitting the brogue kick on Swagger and gets the win. So Christian and Sheamus win. And of course it was Swagger who did the job because he's not involved in the fucking Elimination Chamber match. Cutting once again backstage to Renee Young, she's interviewing John Cena. And Cena basically says, you know, this whole thing between me and Randy has gone on for a decade. We both broke in at the same time and yada yada yada. Now it's time to finish our rivalry once and for all. Let's see how much that holds up. He's saying, yeah, this is going to be the end of it, once and for all. And then he has a little bit of a warning for his other Elimination Chamber opponents. And then they cut to another commercial. And when they come back, they do a recap of Betty White saying she's going to kick some ass from earlier. Don't know why. But after that, I don't even know if I should bring this up, but the commentators segue into this stupid... one of the YouTube videos that the WWE YouTube page posted. 30 seconds of fury with Batista, and it just shows a bunch of the times of him doing the Batista bomb on people over the years. Who gives a fuck? Ziggler's music hits and he comes out to a big pop. But before he can get in the ring, Alberto Del Rio's music hits. And even Ziggler is like, what the fuck? He even looked over his shoulder. He was like, motherfuck. Del Rio's music hits and he comes out to no goddamn reaction. But he basically cuts off Ziggler's entrance. We get a recap from last week of ADR beating up Batista and then having to slip away out of the Batista bomb. Whatever. So we get the match, Ziggler and Del Rio. Ziggler hits his drop kick, and then he starts doing his repeating elbow drops. And the crowd chanting along with it, and then he stalls on the last one, does his little spin and jumps up and drops the big elbow. He is so over with the crowd. The crowds love him. Of course, he goes for the zigzag when Del Rio's on the rope, so he gets knocked off. But then Ziggler's able to hit the Fameasser, and even though it works for Billy Gunn, Ziggler's only able to get a 2 count. There was a Let's Go Ziggler chant. I don't know, something happened, Del Rio got the upper hand, he hit the concussion kick on Ziggler, and he got the win. So Del Rio wins. And again, the crowd was dead. Del Rio celebrates a bit and then looks like he's going to leave the ring, and then he gets this grin on his face. He goes back, and he goes to lock in the cross arm breaker on Ziggler, but he fucked it up bad. He finally gets it locked in, and he's wrenching on it. Batista's music hits, and he comes running out in his ring gear for once. Del Rio lets go of Ziggler. Ziggler rolls out of the ring. Del Rio stands up, and Batista gets in the ring, and Batista immediately spears Del Rio. And there's a big boo from the crowd, because they still don't give a fuck about Batista. Batista and Del Rio go out of the ring. Batista clears off the announce table, and then he grabs Del Rio, picks him up, powerbombs him through the table. So yeah. That segment over. The commentators, now without their fucking table, segue into another video for the WWE Network that's launching in like 2 weeks. But this video has the Bella Twins in it. Woo. The whole thing came off as... well, the Bellas are dressed up like flight attendants. And there was a voice announcing it at the beginning, which sounded like, you know, the captain on a plane. This is your captain speaking, you know, blah, 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 and here's the Bella Twins. Whoop-de-shit. Moving on. They say, later on, we're going to see who the next Hall of Fame inductee for this year is going to be. And we get another commercial break. Coming back from the commercial, we see Batista walking through one of the backstage hallways, and he comes across Triple H, who starts talking to him, saying, you know, you really can't do stuff like that, you know, we can't have anybody getting hurt or whatever the fuck. Batista, blah, blah, blah. Triple H says, you know what, I'll give you a match with Del Rio at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Okay, so we have that match that no one gives a fuck about. After that, we get a video package for the next Hall of Fame inductee, which is Lita. Yes, I thought she was already in, but I guess not. Yep, Lita's going into the Hall of Fame. Now, we finally get the payoff from earlier. We cut back to the GM office, where Betty White is sitting there with the middle-aged outlaws, and they're enjoying a cup of tea, or no, they're not really enjoying a cup of tea. Road Dogg, talking like he really knows shit about tea, pouring a cup and whatever, and apparently he slipped, I'm going to guess it was a laxative, into the tea. But Betty, being the crafty veteran that she is, she, I guess, notices it and she does the old switcheroo. So Billy ends up with the spiked tea. He drinks it. Whatever the fuck. We get more hype for Mark Henry's return, and they cut to another commercial break. And when we come back this time, Ryback and Curtis Axel are already in the ring. And the middle-aged outlaws are on commentary, still lacking a table. And then the Usos come out, so we've got a tag match. Ryback versus the Usos. Another whatever who gives a shit match. Throughout the match, Road Dogg's talking on commentary, and he's like, Billy, you want to say something? And he's like, he's selling his stomach. He's, you know, having problems. Like I said, I'm guessing it was a laxative. We'll get to the end of this, don't worry. But yeah, whatever. There's a Goldberg chant directed at Ryback, of course. The Usos managed to get the win. Ryback wound up on the outside of the ring. The legal Uso bounces off the ropes, comes running, jumps over the top rope, simultaneously tags in his brother, and as he flies out of the ring, he dumps on top of Ryback. So those two are out of the way. The now legal Uso gets up top. Axel had already been knocked down, a super kick. So the now legal Uso goes up, hits the rip-off, Superfly Splash, and gets the win. Who gives a fuck? But the whole match, Road Kill, was talking about, I don't think these Uso guys deserve a title shot. And Cole's like, well, why not? They're doing better than any other tag team right now, which is sad. But anyways, after the match, Billy and Road Dogg go over towards the ring like they're gonna step up and give the Usos a title match or something, or they're gonna try to attack them or something. But before they get in the ring, Billy's like, oh, no, and he runs off, holding his gut again. So I guess he's got to go take a shit. So yeah. The commentators hype up that we're going to do the U.S. title open challenge thing with Ambrose up next. And we cut to another fucking commercial. And when we come back, the Shield music hits and the three of them come out. And they're in the ring. And I'm surprised Ambrose didn't cut a promo or something. But he's standing there waiting, and they're like, who's the opponent gonna be? Mark Henry's music hits. And he comes out. Really? Anyways, once Henry gets his fat ass into the ring, he takes his sweet time getting there. We get the big match intros. Like this match is really deserving of that. And then we start the match. Ambrose versus Henry for the U.S. title match. And Rollins and Reigns are at ringside. So guess what happens? Henry, you'll remember, was out with an elbow injury after he got savaged by Brock. And he comes out, when Henry came out, he's got this brace on his elbow. So it's obvious he's not really ready to come back. I don't know why they had him come back if he's still hurt. So Dean starts working the elbow, of course. There's a commercial break. Ambrose, the finish of the match, Ambrose goes for the headlock driver. Henry pushed him off. Ambrose bounces off the ropes and comes back. And Henry scoops him up for the world's strongest slam, and he hits it. Rollins and Reigns, of course, immediately jump into the ring. Rollins jumps on Henry and breaks the count. So Ambrose gets DQ'd because of interference. Henry kind of gets beat down a little bit, and then he gets speared on the outside by Reigns. And then the Shield guys hop the barricade and they go to leave when all of a sudden the Wyatt music hits. And they come out again. And when the lights finally come back on, the Shield is still standing there over by the corner of the barricade. And so, the Wyatts are standing over by the ramp, just kind of like, come on, motherfuckers, you want to do this? The Shield guys jump back over the barricade. And they go over by the ring, over by the side by the commentators. And then the Wyatts come down to the side of the ring over by the ramp. And then led by Reigns, the Shield jumps up on the apron on their side of the ring. And then, of course, led by Bray, the Wyatts do the same thing on their side of the ring. They get up on the apron. And there's this, it's just a stare down, right? Finally, again, led by, well, no. Reigns gets into the ring. Rollins and Ambrose stay on the apron. But then Bray goes to get in the ring, but stops, gets back out, and then him and the Wyatts back off. Or him and Harper and Rowan. They back off. And then they do the stupid cutaway gag again. And then we get another recap from the feud that will not die between Orton and Cena. Last month, Randy attacking Cena's dad. Which, by the way, something I should have brought up during the Royal Rumble video. The match between Orton and Cena sucked. Why was it a match and not like a fight? You know, Randy had attacked Cena's dad again, and Cena acted like it was just another match. Why? Orton attacks your dad again, and instead of pressing charges like he should have, Cena's dad says, no, I want my son to beat you up. So he doesn't bother pressing charges, he just wants Cena to beat up Randy. Nope, we just have a regular match. Anyways, so yeah, the recap, and then of course more hype for Orton and Cena, and then they cut to commercial. And when they come back, they do another video about Black History Month, this time talking about somebody I've never heard before, Bobo Brazil. Cutting back to the ring, pretty much all of the divas are in the ring. We got the Total Divas, of course, on one side, minus Naomi, who is apparently injured after taking that knee to the face from Oksana last week. We have a 6-diva tag match. The Bellas and Cameron, with Eva Marie at ringside, versus AJ and Foxana, as I'm going to start calling them. I think I mentioned that last week when Oksana and Alicia Fox took on the Funkadactyls. AJ was on commentary. She referred to them as Foxana. So I'm going to start calling them that, just because, you know, saves me the trouble of having to write out their full names. But yeah, Alicia Fox, Oksana, and AJ with Tamina at ringside. Of course, the fucking match was shit. The Bellas botch a corner poetry in motion sort of thing. The one Bella gets down on her hands and knees in a pose that I'm sure she's quite used to being in. And then the other one tries to jump off of her back. She slips and almost goes face first into... Geez, I don't even know who it was that was in the corner. I think it was Oksana. But the Bella almost goes face first into Oksana's tits. And when Oksana wears these really low-cut outfits, you're going to get a face full of cleavage going in there. But yeah, she slips and whatever the fuck. And then, for some idiotic reason, they tag in Cameron. And Cameron follows the trend set by her partner and stinks up the joint even worse than it already was. I have written down here, Cameron sucks. She basically does the same shit that Naomi did the other week, where she connected with basically zero impact in all of her moves, and then she steals Maurice's old finishing move, the big implant cranking DDT, which apparently she calls Girl Bye, which makes no fucking sense. Apparently she's said that on the stupid Total Divas show. So what? I don't give a fuck. It's a terrible name. And she's not original enough to come up with her own move. She has to steal Maurice's old move. But yeah, she hits that on Oksana and she gets the win. So the Bellas and Cameron win. Who cares? So apparently they're just going to give Cameron the push that they were going to give to Naomi. But since Naomi's made a way for her, she gets hit in the face with a knee and her eyes split open. Yeah, we're just going to give your partner a shot at AJ and whatever. Crowd's dead, of course. Did I have to mention that? No, I don't think so. Moving on. Now, they do a Tale of the Tape, which I don't think the WWE has ever done before. I'm not sure about that, but I don't think they have. But they do this. A Tale of the Tape for, again, Cena and Orton. And then they cut to a promo. There's that hot blonde honey Lana. And that ugly monster Alexander Rusev. They cut a promo. Who cares? They're not wrestling tonight. Moving on. We get a recap of the opening segment, the stupid in-ring bullshit with Triple H and Stephanie and Randy and who gives a fuck. And then all of a sudden the stage blows up with Kane's pyro. Now I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but when Stephanie was talking during said opening promo, she had mentioned that because of Kane's actions over the last couple of weeks attacking Bryan, he had been given the week off, probationary something or other, I don't really care. So this kind of surprised everybody, but here comes Kane, and he says, you know, I want to apologize for what I did. I agree with the punishment that they're giving me, whatever. Before he can really say much, though, Bryan's music hits. Again, kind of surprising since he was supposedly given the night off. Bryan comes out, and he charges down to the ring and immediately attacks Kane. Kane kind of knocks him down, and then he gets ready to go for the choke slam, but Bryan gets out of it, chucks Kane out of the ring, and then hits the suicide dive on him. And then Kane gets thrown up against the corner of the barricade, and Bryan comes screaming at him, drop kicks him, and Kane goes over the barricade. And then we get a yes, yes, yes chant. Bryan celebrating in the ring, and we cut to a commercial. Coming back from the commercial, they announce that for SmackDown this Friday, we're going to get the next match in the ongoing gauntlet that Orton has to face of facing all of his Elimination Chamber opponents. And that's going to be him versus Antonio Cesaro. After that, looking at the Titantron, Betty White there, she segues into the main event. Who gives a fuck? Cena's music hits and he comes out, and then Orton's music hits and he comes out to no reaction. And then we get the match. There's some stalling at the beginning, another CM Punk chant. And then I noticed that there's a new announce table because they go over to it and I think Randy bangs Cena's head into it, whatever the fuck. And then Randy grabs Cena and does the belly-to-back suplex onto the barricade like he's done before. They cut to a commercial break. Cena starts going for his comeback combo. You know, he does the shoulder blocks. He does the first one, and since these two know each other so well, Cena goes for the second one, and Randy ducks it, and Cena flops and falls out of the ring. Whatever. There's a chant for Daniel Bryan. Later on, Cena hits his full comeback combo, but the attitude adjustment gets countered. I think, yeah, Randy got out of it and just planted Cena with a big DDT. Randy goes for the rope-hung DDT, but Cena gets out of it and backdrops Randy out of the ring. Cena goes for the attitude adjustment again, but it gets countered again. And then they go into the corner. And they were going for a superplex, but Cena blocked it. But Randy hit him and whatever. And so what ends up happening is Randy hits the corner slung DDT. And I think the crowd had been chanting same old shit. And so he hits the DDT and Randy starts flipping out at the crowd. He's like, was that the same old shit? And I'm like, yeah, you jerk, because you've done that before too. Who gives a fuck? Randy coils for the RKO. And Cena basically ducks down and grabs Randy's leg, trips him, and puts him in the STF. I think Randy got a rope break. He got out of it somehow, but he beat Cena down. And then he was going to go for the punt kick. But of course, Cena got out of the way, went for the attitude adjustment, but Randy got out of that and hits the RKO. But he only gets a 2 count. Randy's arguing with the ref. He turns around. Cena pops up. Surprise! Attitude adjustment. He nails it. Only gets a 2. At this point, Cena has to lift up Randy's carcass because he's practically limp. He puts him in the corner, lifts him up to the top rope, and he goes for the super attitude adjustment again. But Randy, of course, again gets out of it, slips down the front. Cena's able to kick him away, and then Cena comes jumping off with the big flying leg drop bulldog thing. He plants Randy with that, but Randy almost immediately pops back up. Cena gets him up, attitude adjustment, hits it, and Cena wins clean. So Cena won in what was basically an almost identical repeat of their Royal Rumble match, aside from not using each other's finishers. So, of course, Cena won the supposedly rivalry-ending match between him and Orton. So, according to this, now and forevermore, Cena will always be known as the better man. I guess. The referee was checking on Randy, so he might be hurt. I don't know. I think Randy was holding his shoulder or something. Who cares? Cena celebrates, and that's the end of the fucking show. Can you see why I'm having a hard time watching this shit? Boring promos. Boring matches. Jesus Christ. You give Daniel Bryan the night off. So there goes the only possibility of a good match. The only other possibility was what? The match was Ziggler, and he was going against Del Rio. So no, there was no chance of that match being good. Del Rio drags any match he's into a fucking boring snooze fest. And of course he has to win. Sack of shit. I can't wait for Del Rio to leave, so we don't have to watch his shit anymore. Of course, I don't know if I'm going to make it that long. As always, let's recap all the matches again. The 6-man tag match to start off the show. Rey Mysterio and Cody Rhodes and Goldust lose to the Wyatts. Boring match, who gives a shit? Santino loses to Fandango in a short, nothing match, where the most notable thing was Miz coming over and bitching on commentary. Christian and Sheamus defeating the Real Americans in a decent match. Ziggler losing to Alberto Del Rio. it was a pretty short match, and it really sucks that Ziggler had to lose again. Then Ryback loses to the Uso in another nothing match, just basically building up the Usos. They're going to be the ones to take the titles from fucking the middle-age outlaws, so whatever. And then we got the open challenge for the U.S. title. Ambrose defending against Mark Henry, in which the match ended in a DQ when Rollins and Reigns interfered, of course. And then we got the train wreck of a 6-diva tag match, the Bellas and Cameron defeating AJ and Foxana. And then we got the big middle finger of Cena beating Randy Orton in what is supposedly the end of their decade-long rivalry. A decade in the making, folks! And it goes out with a whimper, not a bang. Fuck right the hell off, WWE. If I ever have to watch another match between Cena and Orton, just the two of them, I'm not going to count the Elimination Chamber match because that's a multi-man match. If I ever have to sit through another singles match between Orton and Cena, then you have failed at doing your jobs. Not like you haven't already failed, but still. That was Raw, February 10th, 2014, from Los Angeles, California, the Staples Center. Fuck you, WWE. It's getting real old, this shit. Now, if you all will excuse me, I'm going to go do something more fun. I'm going to go play the new DBZ game. Battle of Z. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, another special announcement. Sometime in the near future, I'm going to have to tinker with my computer, so I probably won't be uploading any other Let's Play videos of the games that I do Let's Plays of. I won't be doing those until after I get done tinkering with my computer. I'm probably going to have to replace the hard drives, and I'm going to be upgrading to a new operating system. And I've already backed up the crucial stuff that I need. I've backed up my game files and the save files, so I shouldn't lose any of my progress in any of the Let's Plays. But we will see how that goes. So, yeah. It's going to be probably a week or two before I do any other Let's Play videos. I know most people don't really... The people who watch my Let's Plays don't really watch my Wrestling Rant, so, you know. But if you do, you know, just a heads up. So, that will conclude the Wrestling Rant for tonight. As always, thank you for watching. Like and share and favorite and comment. Do whatever it is that you do. God damn. I really don't know if I'm going to be able to make it to WrestleMania, folks. Tonight was bad. No Daniel Bryan. Punk's still gone. I don't think he's coming back. And I can't blame him. Company's going down the fucking toilet. I wouldn't be surprised if Bryan decided to quit too. And I'll tell you what, though. If Bryan did quit, there would be absolutely no reason to keep watching the show. Or the WWE at all. If Bryan quit the company, I would stop watching. Entirely. Like, I wouldn't even wait until Mania. He quits, I'm done. Even with Ziggler, that's just... I don't want to knock Ziggler by saying he's not enough, but, like, he's good, but just one guy. Like, that's not enough to keep me watching. Right now, I've got Bryan, I've got Ziggler. I like seeing Fandango, I just hate his stupid dancing gimmick. Johnny Curtis on NXT was fucking hilarious. I guess they didn't think that gimmick would work on Raw. Not to mention the fact that the gimmick really only worked because he was there with Bateman and Maxine and Caitlyn, who are all three now gone. Maxine hit the bricks because they wouldn't give her a real contract. Caitlyn left because they were basically dicking her around too. They had nothing for her. And Bateman, he left. He's in TNA now. TNA is so bad I can't watch it. Speaking of TNA, a little side note. I may have mentioned before, they were hyping up some storyline with a mystery investor. Somebody has invested in TNA. And he was... he had hired the American Wolves, Eddie Edwards, and... oh shit. What was his partner's name? Ah, fuck, I should know this. Fuck. I can't remember. But yeah, you might remember I said that these two guys wrestled on NXT a while back under two completely lousy names, and they were the American Pitbulls. Yeah, WWE didn't offer them a contract, so they decided to sign with TNA. What the hell was his partner's name? Goddamn. Anyways, but yeah. Recently, they finally debuted who this mystery investor is, and it's MVP. I never really cared for MVP. So he was off for a while wrestling in Japan, and now he decides to sign with TNA to basically be an authority figure. Really weak storyline you got going here. TNA just continues to tank week after week after week. So, yeah, I figured I'd bring that up because, you know, if I quit watching the WWE, there's nothing else for me to cover for the Wrestling Rant. TNA is complete horseshit. I won't even waste my time with that garbage. So, I'm sorry, folks, but if the WWE doesn't get better, Wrestling Rant's gonna be done. But yeah. Like I said, that wraps it up for this episode of the Wrestling Rant. Monday Night Raw with Betty White. This Raw sucked. It better get better soon, because I'm so sick of wasting my time. But like I said, I'm going to go play some DBZ. Have some fun for once. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.